In Packet Tracer 10.6.13, we will use physical mode to simulate a password recovery on a router. In your course in Module 10, there's a section about password recovery procedures and a step-by-step example as well. Imagine that you just came back from being away for a week at a conference and you try to log into the main router for the company, but while you were gone, someone changed the password and you can't log into the router. This could easily happen if you work with routers and switches. It's good to know how to do this. To begin with, in our scenario, we have a laptop on the desk, which is connected via a console cable directly to the router because we need to be on the console to do this. We will open the laptop, go to the desktop terminal, OK to connect to the router. We see that this router is currently up, but we are unable to get in at all. If we don't know the password, we're locked out. So we need to bypass that and be able to access the router. In step B, it tells us in physical mode, which we are in, go to the rear view of the router in the rack and switch the router off. Click on the router, make that larger and zoom in if you like. So this is a Cisco 2911 router, and we have next to the power cord is the power switch. So we turn that off because we have to be able to interrupt the boot up process to do password recovery. We're told power the router back on, quickly return to terminal mode on the laptop, and enter a break sequence, which depending on what terminal emulator you're using may vary. In this case, we're going to use Control-C. Do it quickly before the hash loading marks have finished displaying. If you're not quick enough, just power cycle the router again. Turn the router back on, we have the green light, and then go back to the laptop and do a Control-C while it's printing the hash marks before it finishes. What we want to see is this rom-mon prompt. We have a set of limited commands, and one of those is conf-reg, which is allowing us to change the configuration register, which controls how the router boots up. The normal value is hex 2102. We have to change that to 2142. And that will cause the router to bypass the startup config where those passwords are. And then to continue booting, type reset and then enter. Allow the router to finish booting. Then you will be presented with the initial configuration dialog as if the router had just come from the factory. Say no to that. We will go to enable mode. Next, once we've gotten into privileged mode, now we can put the passwords back because we're in now. So we have to put the router back to operational status by copying the startup configuration, which is an NVRAM. So we want to copy startup configuration to the running configuration, which is in step F here. Press enter to accept the default. The router prompt should have changed to main, which it did because that's in the startup configuration. Now we are going to make a few changes on step G. One, change the router prompt to branch. That would be the hostname command. After we see the prompt update with the new hostname branch, make sure you type that with a capital B and all lowercase so that you get the grading. We're going to change the secret password to branch 1. So enable secret, BRANCH1, all lowercase. Make sure you match that. You should see your completion percentage go up there. We're going to change the console and VTY line passwords to branch 2. Line con 0, password branch 2, and then line VTY 0 through 15, just up arrow twice, change the password there as well. I'm going to do a do show run from here to double check the login command has been configured, which it has. And we have updated the passwords on the console and the VTY. The next thing we want to do is add a message of the day banner informing someone that the password has been recovered. Banner space MOTD. You can put the quotes as delimiters. That will work. Just the quotes won't show up in the actual message of the day. Again, the completion rate should have gone up. Now, verify the value of the configuration register. If you want to see the configuration register, that comes up when you do a show version, or show var for short. So if I do a show var from inside my configuration mode, that's a lot of information. So I want to narrow that down, include, just put register. And that only displays the line. Configuration register is currently set to 2142, but we want to get that normaled back up to 2102 because that's normal behavior. So we want to change that using the config-register command and then typing in 0x for hexadecimal 2102. And we want to copy the running config now to the startup config. So that's in step G7. Copy, run to star, because we want to overwrite that version that had the passwords that got changed and we didn't know about. We've got the router back to a good state, so now we want to reload and make sure everything's working correctly. So just type the command reload and let the router complete the reload. Press return to get started. The password we set to get on the console is branch 2, and enable our password is branch 1. So that looks good. Now we are at step I. Display the running configuration. And notice that the interfaces are all administratively disabled or shut down. And we could also show that in Show IP Interface Brief. Reactivate interfaces G00 and G02 by going into config mode, interface G0/0, no shut, and interface G0/2, no shut. At this point, everything looks good. The completion rate should say 100%. If not, check the results and look for red X's. And if I do a show var, include register, that's what we want to see, 2102. So that is how to do password recovery on a router. Please save your PKA file and drop it in the Dropbox, and let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.